a second. Okay, we are recording. All right, so here we go. Hey there, everybody. Meredith Oliver here, President, Chief Digital, whatever, Chief Cook Bottle Washer of Meredith Communications. We do home builder marketing. And since COVID-19 started, we decided to also host this weekly town hall and try to help everybody figure out what to do next, because we're all just basically making this up as we go along. And so here we are. This is week number 3. I'm going to keep doing these for the foreseeable future on a weekly basis. I'll try to remember to record it, but I don't promise I will. So you really need to be here live if you want to get the information. Fingers crossed the recording works and I can get that out to everybody. Before we get into our agenda for today, I want to remember to tell you about next week's topic, because I'm actually organized this week and actually already know what I'm going to do next week, which is a first. Next week, we're going to I've got experts to help you understand how to take better photos and videos with your smartphones. Because I'm seeing some stuff that it needs help. Okay, so I've got photographers that specialize in home builder photography, photographers that specialize in like headshot and more casual photos, and videographers. They're going to all join me and really just take a DIY approach. They're not going to sell you anything. You say, here, if you've got your camera and you have a virtual visit coming up and you need to take 10 or 15 photos, or you need to create a video to send to a prospect, here's how you can do that and do it well, even though you're not a photographer. So that's next Tuesday, 4 o'clock. I would encourage you to get all your salespeople on that. So get the link out to the whole team, invite them all. That's going to be the kind of stuff that everybody can benefit from. And we've got plenty of room in my current Zoom plan. So let's fill her up. Okay, so I'll get that out and then get that link out to you so we can do that. Okay, so before we get into interviewing our guests today and introducing them, I'm going to just do a quick little recap on what I'm seeing with Google Analytics. Spent hours yesterday going through clients' Google Analytics reports, just trying to get a feeling of what I'm seeing. So basically, it looks like March is going to end up in website traffic year over year for most of the markets. The caveat is if you're in a market like Washington State, New York, New Jersey, where you've been hard hit with COVID-19 early on than the rest of the country, then that may not be the case for you. So like I literally looked at one report yesterday for a small volume production builder in Oklahoma City, that their whole March, they've really only begun to be affected in the last like 5 days. But if I compare that to 2 large volume builders in Washington State and Oregon, their March traffic started to be impacted very early in the month. But most of you, you're going to end up ahead year over year. So my first tip today is when you're looking at your Google Analytics, don't compare month over month. That will make you sad. January and February were lights out, 10-year high website traffic. Don't look at month over month. There's no point. It's way down from that. If you look year over year for March, you'll probably feel a little bit better. The first big decline in traffic occurred on the 12th or 13th of March. Every single one I looked at, and I looked at probably 50 yesterday, all had their first dip on the 12th or 13th. Some of you leveled out after that and you've been fairly steady since. Some of you ratcheted down one more time. Most of you are about 50% off down from your January and February levels. But again, you're about where you were this time last March. So it just really depends. What should you be paying attention to with your Google Analytics data? Number one, like I said, look at year over year for March anyway. Probably don't do that for April. Probably don't. Starting in April, I'd probably just look week over week. Remember that your sales are going to be about 4 to 6 weeks out from your website traffic. So this week's website traffic is about 4 weeks from now to 6 weeks sales in a normal market. And that's what I don't know what a COVID-19 market is. I don't know. Luckily, I've never done this before, right? But in a normal market, today's website traffic is this week to next week's OSC, online sales counselors, leads, phone calls, emails, live chats. They work towards setting an appointment. They set an appointment. The sale matures in about a month to 6 weeks. So you want to look at your week over week website traffic because that's where your sales are going to be 4 to 6 weeks from now. And for most of you, it's still pretty good. It's about half of what it was, but it's there. It's there. Because let me tell you, in 2008, there was none. There was like none. So you've got some in the pipeline. And here's the other interesting thing. On all of the reports, time on site is up dramatically and pages per session is up dramatically. I've got folks with 7, 8 pages per session, 4 and 5 minute visits. And we haven't seen anything like that since like the iPhone went crazy and everybody got one and we all went mobile. So people are bored. They are spending a lot of time browsing. And then the other thing would be lead conversions. Yeah, they were all down week over week. They were. But the ones that came through, live chat, phone call, email, it appears that those were very high quality. So that's my other tip for you is as you're studying your Google Analytics, are you really looking at quality over quantity? Because I think that's the game we're going to be in. What we really don't know is the sales that we've been getting since about March 10th, when all this went haywire, really went crazy, were those folks that were already way far into the buyer journey and were like, I got to get this done before I'm out, right? Or were those folks that are newer into it? And are there people going to be willing to start a buyer journey? So one of the things I would love to hear from you right now, I'm going to launch a poll here. Let everybody chime in. I'm interested in what you're seeing the most activity for right now. So I'm going to launch this poll. Are you seeing activity for pre-sale homes? Inventory, build on your lot, toilet paper sales, that's a joke, and food delivery services, joke. My theory is that it's an inventory home game right now. For example, we have a builder client that has 2 brands. They're probably on the call right now. They're both in Washington State, right in a hotbed of COVID-19 activity. One brand is more build on your lot. One brand with some inventory. One brand is really heavy inventory, and that website is outperforming the other one. And we're literally doing exactly the same digital marketing, not the same messaging, not the same graphics, but the same budgets, spend, like location of media, all of it. But one's really outperforming the other. So, okay. Yeah, I'm going to end poll and I'm going to publish so everybody can see inventory ran away with it, share results. So 72%, right? So yeah, I think that's where we're at. I mean, I think if I'm going to do something, it's not going to be taking on a big risky long-term thing. It's probably going to be like getting into something easily and quickly. So just look week over week, protect your pipeline. If you've still got a pipeline of some kind of website traffic, you still have sales 6 weeks from now. And then look at the quality indicators like how many pages per visit. Did they click a virtual tour? Did they download a PDF? Did they click a call, phone number link? Are they interacting and engaging with the content? If they're still doing all of those things, you've got a funnel. You're all right, okay? If that stuff really drops off in another week or 2, then we'll just all have a good ugly cry on this together. Okay, so that is my what's happening out there update with traffic, leads, and sales. now it's my pleasure to introduce my guest today. First of all, you can't see her, but she's there. Angela McKay is my co-host kind of behind the scenes today. Angela is Vice President of all amazing, awesome things, customer experience at ECI Lasso. And she's so skilled with running webinars. I was like, can you please just keep helping? And so she's behind the scenes. So thank you, Angela.
Thank you, Meredith. Happy to be
here. Yeah, so we appreciate you. All right, and then I've got 3 folks who have volunteered and they don't know why. And like most things I do, they received a random email with not enough details, but somehow stepped forward and said they would do it anyway. So from Abrazo Homes today, I have Brian and Sheena. Let me unmute you, Sheena. Hold on. There we go. Yeah.
Hi.
All right.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks so much for having us, Meredith.
Hey, you're so welcome. And you guys are out of New Mexico, right?
That's correct.
Correct.
The land of enchantment.
Right. All right. And then a longtime industry friend, colleague, peer, Jeremy Jackson of JC Jackson Homes, Beaufort, North Carolina.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Hey, you're so welcome. So why I invited you all here today, since I didn't really give you a lot to work with, was I noticed on social media that both of your companies were doing some really cool content marketing things, simple things, nothing too crazy, but you were doing some cool things that it seemed like you had adapted pretty quickly to this whole COVID-19 situation that we have going on. It seems to me that one of our biggest hurdles I am still getting multiple calls a day from sales agents, mostly some marketing folks that are like, we aren't hearing anything from our leadership. Nothing here has changed. We aren't doing anything different. We're just still doing the same thing. And they're scared and they're not sure what's working or not working. So I wanted Brian and Jeremy to speak today from a leadership position of, adapting to things, making change happen, making quick decisions. And then Sheena, you have the job of implementing some of these things, right? And making them happen, right?
Right.
Yeah. So Sheena, why don't you tell everybody about what you guys have done at Abrazo, specifically like your video content on your virtual appointments and.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. To speak to some of it, it's already gone through a couple iterations at this point because we're adapting as things are changing around us. So initially we started it as one-on-one appointments because, everybody had different mandates on how many groups or how large the groups could be together. And we really wanted to make sure that we were taking care of our own employees, but also showing our guests and our customers that we truly care about them as well, more than we're going to put the business first. But we understand that people still need to be purchasing homes. People are still interested right now. So initially we went to one-on-one virtual or one-on-one VIP tours. And then we moved that to virtual or one-on-one tours, depending on the comfort level of our clients. Of course, people aren't going to jump right online with virtual tours initially because it's brand new. A lot of folks aren't used to it. If people do FaceTime or anything like that, it's typically with only people that they're really comfortable with, their family, their friends. So that's kind of a leap that we have been trying to work on really closing for just the general public out there. Now that we've really been put into a shelter in place, we realize that even at this point, although construction is considered essential, being out in the sales communities, being out in our model homes is not necessarily something that's considered essential, especially if we're supposed to be doing our parts in social distancing. So we figured, what else could we do to still create a very personalized touch to it? And so we started offering what we're calling guided tours. So our sales consultant will actually go out to the home, whether it's the community, whether it's a model home, an inventory home under construction, and take that guest or our client on a virtual tour through, we have a couple different platforms, but they're all going to be similar to getting on FaceTime. And then that way you actually get to see in real time a sales rep really be able to gain that trust in them, that it's still somebody who's there on the other end, who's specifically answering your questions. Obviously, you know, there's going to be some nuances. There's going to take some time for everybody to get really comfortable with that. But within the last week, I would say we've started to see a lot more interest in that, because I think the general public is also noticing that things are not, you know, day-to-day normal, and that we all have to adjust a little bit right now. And then obviously the marketing piece of that is making sure that people know it's available. That's going to be the next biggest step, is making sure that folks know it's available without it seeming like it's just a bunch of ads being thrown in their face that we're just trying to promote our company. Just making sure that they understand we're doing it for them more than we're doing it for ourselves right now.
Yeah. Jeremy, what caught my eye with you guys is, and, you know, go ahead and maybe give everybody a little overview on, you know, your company and the type of homes you build and your location and so forth. And then also tell them about, I noticed on your Facebook page, like your cover image, you've got like a phone. It says like, call JC Jackson, and it's like a little video on there. It's simple, but it makes the point, right? And I just thought that's such a good example for a builder that, I mean, it's basically you and your salesperson, right? I mean, you don't have like a massive team of people, right?
Yeah, well, we've got an online sales counselor that we've had for about a year. And interestingly enough, she actually works out of Whidbey Island, Washington. Her husband's in the military, and he was here locally, and we hated to lose her. So we tried, you know, her working remotely, and so far it's worked fantastic. So we're kind of thankful that we had put those processes in place, not planning for a pandemic, but we've certainly benefited from it. You know, the FaceTime ad that you're talking about, the irony there is we created it for our military clients. Many of our military families may be overseas, they're not local, they're PCSing into our area. So it was kind of a play on the about face, you know, that you see in many military movies, you know, I guess. But it was a great way to get people going, and we could show them the house without them being there. And fortunately, it was kind of in the toolbox here with this new world we're living in.
Yeah. Several of the builders that I've talked to that have adapted to the new sales marketing environment we're in, that have done the best, I think, and moved the fastest, were builders that have previously or continue to work with military buyers, because they're much more used to this selling virtual setup.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I remember the first time I used a camera phone on a job site, and the client, we were confirming a driveway, and the client actually was in Whidbey Island. He was a Marine there. He worked on the C-130 aircraft, and I sent him the picture, and he emailed me back, and I thought, man, this world's really changing. Now, that was probably 2005, 2006. So, you know, technology continues to evolve, and we all need to take advantage of it for sure.
Yeah. So Brian, how did you, and I guess your business partner, McKinsey, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
McKinsey business partner.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So how do you guys, like, what's the secret sauce on somebody like Sheena being able to, and I don't know whose idea originally it was, or how you guys innovate these things in your teams, you can talk about that, but obviously your team is empowered to get stuff done and to go for it, to really make it happen. So what did the two of you do very purposefully or on instinct by accident that you think creates that kind of environment?
Well, you know, first of all, and you know, thank you. I'm thrilled to hear that. You know, our company is set up. Mac and I are basically both from what I would call more of a sales and marketing background. So we lean more heavily on sales and marketing than we do construction. But you know, I hope we're good at both now. But over the years, you know, it's really become so important to make sure that our team, we know no matter how awesome we might think we are, our goal this year is about 129 closings, and the two of us cannot build 129 houses. We can't build, start, sell, and close that. So our entire management philosophy has been around empowering the entire team of everyone in the company so that they have the tools and the resources and the training and, not only the courage, but the leash to really go run with some of these projects. And that has been widely effective across all aspects of the company. We do the same in construction. We do the same with some of our land projects and everything. So all in all, that's the philosophy. This time around, I'm not gonna lie. I'm that rose-colored glasses, silver linings, glasses always half full kind of optimistic entrepreneur who.
That's not an understatement.
and I can't tell you, and I'm sure for those of us who've been around the industry, enough, how many different times we've come up to these scenarios where like, oh my gosh, it could be this, right? And, a month ago, we thought it was going to be that we were going to go to world war with Iran and this and that and everything else, right? To where it seems like every 3 or 4 months, there's something that could just, crater the entire industry, et cetera, or it was that worst case scenario. But it really almost never happens. I mean, it's kind of happened one other time in our career. And, to some degree, I was putting my blinders on saying, no way, this can't happen. There's no way we're going to shut down the entire American economy. And Sheena was really the first one who said, no, this thing is, super serious and we need to get on it right away. So we obviously, I hope that we've created communication channels with all of our team members to where they can be the ones who have their ear to the ground. And I'm not talking to the customers every day. So we have to listen to the OSC, listen to the superintendents, listen to the salespeople who are out there with their ear to the ground and hearing what's really happening. And when that happened, and when we started seeing shelter-in-place mandates happening in other states, New Mexico was not the first, fortunately. We had a big rush, and Sheena was like, hey, we need to round up content now. And we gave the salespeople about 24 hours to go out and, photograph every lot, video your models, take guided tours of your specs, with your kind of selfie stick and doing all these tours. And then we, sponsored a fun kind of contest for all of our agents to do their own kind of video communication to a customer that was a prospect that we were working with. And they came up with some really awesome and really creative stuff. And then we did, in fact, get our shelter-in-place mandate. But we actually have our chief storyteller, as we refer to him, on staff, and he's a full-time videographer. So we kicked over a lot of content and a lot of ideas and a lot of these things over to him to produce this video for us to make sure we had the message out there quickly. Because we were still hearing ads on the radio a week ago that was saying, come down to Globo Gym and you can get strong. And I'm like, Globo Gym's closed, like it's not there.
Yeah,
So
what are
we
you
need
doing?
it.
Yeah.
No,
So
yeah.
I had somebody in the industry privately, because we don't shame anybody publicly here, but they privately sent me a sample of an ad for a retirement community that's still running, digital ad that has this family arm in arm on the beach walking, and it was like get closer together, and we're like, yeah, no, you're not supposed to be doing that right now. Like, you got to pull that stuff, right? So, Jeremy, I want to, Sheena, I'll come to you next. Jeremy, I'm kind of interested, from your perspective, how important is speed and being decisive when this stuff happens? Because Brian makes a really good point. It seems like, and, if you listen to the media, there does seem to be a crisis like every month about to take us down. That's an excellent point. So how do you know when to take it serious, when not, and then when to move like that? As a leader, what do you rely on for that?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think as leaders, we're responsible for LMA, which is leading, managing, and holding people accountable, and removing obstacles and barriers for our team. So, I typically rely on 3 things: data. We keep scorecards every week, and different team members are responsible for reporting their scores, and then we can look at it. So the data's routine, and mentors and consultants. I guess this is a shameless plug for your colleagues and yourself, but the fact that we're able to do this today, I'll probably rewatch this and take notes, because I've already heard some great ideas. And then meeting with the team regularly and hearing what they're saying, what are they seeing, how are they feeling, kind of that pulse of a check-in with them to have an idea. And, you know, at some point you've got to make a decision and make the best decision you can make with the information you have at the time, and realize that you may have to pivot or make corrections, you know, along the way.
Yeah. In my master's degree program, I did a master's in communication technology, go figure. Back a long time ago when the internet was invented, we talked about this principle called first mover advantage. And I have always remembered that, and I believe in that when you are the first in a market to make something happen and adapt to a change, hopefully it's not an overcorrection or an overreaction, but when you're kind of the first one, there is some momentum to that. There's something to be said for that. So I'm going to post an article in our Facebook group. Everybody that's here, if you're not part of our Facebook community, we'll put a link into the chat box. Just go ahead and join it. Harvard Business Review's got an amazing article in this month's issue about innovation, creativity, creating a culture of experimentation. And there's this whole article on booking.com and how booking.com, listen to this, their core tenets, one of their core beliefs at their company, anyone at the company can test anything without management's permission. They have on average 1,000 tests going on, about 25,000 tests a year, where employees are just allowed to say, you know, I'm going to test sending the email this way versus sending it written this way and see what happens. Or I'm going to test whatever their department is. They have a culture of testing and experimenting. So speaking of which, Sheena, the video that you guys did on your Facebook page about your guided tours, I mean, that had to be a bit of an experiment, right?
Yeah, and this is, you know, part of what you guys were talking about with leadership, especially Jeremy and Brian, is, you know, we live in a day and age that we're so connected through social media that it's not all about the perfect, polished marketing ad. Most people would actually like to see something that's less polished because they feel like it's more authentic and people can really connect to it. So for us, getting something out there without it necessarily being perfect is more that we're being reactive. We're paying attention to what people are feeling right now, not, oh, we have to make sure it's perfect before we get it out there. And so, yes, it definitely is a test to see, is this going to stick? And right now, let's say it doesn't stick. Let's say nobody wants to come out for a virtual tour because they just can't get over the fact that they need to make this, you know, $100,000 purchase through just looking at something on a screen. At the end of the day, they will still recognize that a company is going to go out of their way above and beyond to provide them tools and resources to make them feel more comfortable and adjust to their needs. And so, I mean, it's still going to be a win-win at the end of the day. Providing people something visual to see. We are in such a visual day and age now. Photographs, videos, fun, excitement, all of those things still address high-level purchases. And so that's why we really need to make sure that we're connecting with our clients, with our communities, and then also too, because of the nature of what we do, we all build homes. Community is a really big deal for us. We have people who are making one of the largest purchases ever in a community, in a city, and they either work there, their kids go to school there, they have friends and family there. When they feel like the builder is taking into account the community and the people's well-being, they're just going to have a better affiliation for you as well.
Yeah. So one of the things that I want the audience to kind of hear from what these folks are saying is, I don't know that the specific tactics they're doing, guided FaceTime tours, you know, both companies are doing those types of things, is any different from what you're doing, but they've packaged it up well and marketed it. And that's what Sheena just said that I'm hoping you heard, right? And they did that through video or animated GIFs or social media posts. And I also hope that you heard that it didn't have to be perfect. it's got to happen. It's got to happen faster. Right. So that's been one of my main platforms for almost 20 years in this industry, has been trying to get people to move faster. And I'm still dragging a bunch of y'all across the finish line. But that's what we have to do. Right. So, because here's my core belief, and I said this at the beginning about the website traffic, is if you can keep some people on your site, and again, it may not be as many, but if you could, some of the reports I looked at, we're still averaging 500, 1,000 a day. Look, we've had years where that was all we had and we were happy to have it. So if you can keep that many people a day through your content marketing, you've got a funnel when this blows over. You've got something to work with. But if you go quiet, if you're not interesting, if the tone and messaging is all off, you're going to lose whatever funnel you've got. And I say all of that because I'm seeing a lot of questions in the chat. Like, for example, can we take a poll? Who is still working on site? Who's working by appointment only? Who's 100% virtual? Like, there's a ton of all this, chatter going on. And, it just tells me we're all still not settled in yet. And that's okay. I understand things are changing, but like some of you, I'm wondering if you've even made that first step, and it may not be up to you. But do you guys want to, go ahead, Sheena. Yeah.
Yeah. And part of what I wanted to say, because I'm not sure on this webinar, how many leaders out there are really chiming in and listening to this. And I'll speak from the opposite side. So Mackenzie and Brian being the owners of the company, I think part of the reason why they have been able to be so successful prior to this, but also in this pivot, is that not every single idea needs to come from them in order for it to be an important and a good one to be listening to. And I know that sometimes it's a little bit difficult, especially for a company that you've built from the ground up, that for such a dramatic change to happen, it really needs to come from the leader. A lot of the time is the feeling behind it. And in order to take a company into the future, right now is the time to be really reaching out to your team. And a lot of the times, I mean, if you've built a good team, that's the whole purpose of building a good team, is everybody's going to have a different perspective and a different skill set. I am not necessarily the one who's putting together all of the technology on the back end. I have partners with Do You Convert who are outside of our company. I have Shane, who's our incredible storyteller, who's the one actually piecing it together on the video side. But ultimately, the leaders, Mac and Brian, have to be the ones saying, okay, listen, we love that idea. Just give us some background on why, and let's make this all come together and just go with it.
Yeah. Yeah. For those of you that are thinking or wanting to create more video content, it has become easier in a way, but in another sense, creating good video content, it's not as easy as I guess like the commercials would like have us believe that you can do Steven Spielberg with your iPhone 11, So whether they're in-house to you or they're outsourced, the way that I get my video content done efficiently is by I have a process of people, this one edits, this one storyboards, like it goes, and all I have to do as the leader is go, here's my content, here's who the target audience is, this is the message that I want to pop out, please make this look nice. And then they know, and it just follows kind of a formula or a path. And that sounds like what you've got, Sheena, is like it goes and then it gets created. Done. Right. And that's, so those of you that are trying to look at these, do more content marketing type things, you got to have like your players of each one of what part they do so that it can actually get executed and get done for you.
If I can just,
Brian, please.
I just want to add to that, and I'll give you an example from our company, but in round numbers, last year, we had about 100,000 unique visitors on our webpage. And we had we had 100 closings. And every marketing person out there is trying to say, well, we need to expand your reach, get into this and that, and billboards or magazines or whatever. And I'm like, no, we don't need more people. We don't need more eyeballs on our website. We've got enough. We need better conversion. And we think that video and the team and the people are the best ways to increase that conversion. And if you want to change your website traffic number from 100,000 a year to $120,000 a year, you're going to spend $50,000 more extra or some ludicrous number to still continue to get 1% or less of that share. And we're just saying, let's work on the conversion part. We need more, more content, more, better stories, better engagement from our audience. And that's what we're going for.
Yeah. Jeremy, you guys get really good engagement on your Facebook posts, on your page. People write, they go out, comment, they like, they share. I think it's because they feel like they know you and they feel comfortable with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, it really becomes an authenticity, which Sheena talked about earlier. And that's something the smaller builders can do very easily. I know, early in my career, I didn't like to be in our team meetings. It just made me uncomfortable to sit there and feel like I was leading this meeting, but I had to get over it because I knew that's the barrier, that I had to get across to take us to the next level. So frankly, today, this is a little bit of a growth spurt for me. I would not typically do this. And I thought, this is to go along again with what Sheena and Brian are doing. These are the things we've got to do. And people love authenticity. They get polished, advertisements on television all day long and in publications. This is really it right here. The authenticity, people, they trust it. And you get so far with it.
Yeah. Brian, you and Max, what are you doing? It's like a weekly video, the two of you. What is happening there? What is going on? Speaking of authenticity,
daily.
You got to check this out on their Facebook page. It's really something.
Yeah. So facebook.com/Abrazo Homes. You can check out the video that we produced, of course, for our guided tours. But beyond that, Mackenzie and I are doing Facebook Live every weekday, and it's what we're just calling it viral good vibes. And it's one of those things that there's so many bad stories out there today that just people are just kind of getting down on the dumps and reading bad news all the time. So we put together a little feed every day, and we're doing some fun stuff, just some good news from around the world, some silly jokes, and some inspiring quotes as well. And we actually we got into the Final Four today. We're doing virtual March Madness. We put together a bracket.
Okay.
A bracket. We're calling it Quarantine Madness. And so we're just rolling a dice into a bowl every day to see who wins. And it's just something to have fun and engage with the people who are out there. And one thing that I just want to point out is I was on a call with a friend the other day, and I'm like, this is the Super Bowl Sunday of internet audiences. There have never, in the history of civilization, there have never been more people at home with a smartphone or a screen in front of their face. And, we have got to be putting some content out in front of these people. And, maybe they won't engage, that's fine. But again, like, this is the biggest audience that we've ever had, and who has time to review the stuff that we put together for them. So we got to take advantage of that.
That's right. That's 100% right. And doing it quickly is what's important, right? So here's what I would encourage if you're a leader on the call, whether you're the sales manager or division president or whatever role in leadership you play. Number one, encourage people to be curious and to ask questions. Encourage them to think differently and don't discourage when somebody brings that idea to you. You can always yes and an idea. You don't have to no, right? Which as a parent, if you're a parent, you get in that no. I was quite surprised when my son for Mother's Day gave me a stemless wine glass that says, "How about no?" on the front of it. And I was like, is that what he constantly hears all the time? Guess so. Got to work on that, right? So you can yes and ideas. And just, I think more communication into the trenches, more creativity, let them be creative. And if you are holding back your salespeople from engaging in content creation, if you're not training them on how to do it, and then, reviewing what they're doing and working with them, you're going to have a problem with your pipeline. and your sales 6 to 8 weeks from now.
Well,
So,
and the
yeah.
greatest thing too is everything that's being created today is maybe sped up due to our situations and circumstances, but this is all the direction that we're moving in general, and it's all going to be assets even after everything's back to normal. So it's not a waste of time, and it's actually going to be something that just expedites maybe a lot of processes that builders were looking to do and achieve before.
Yeah. I mean, Brian, Jeremy, do you guys think that this will have some lasting impact on how we do business and what we do? Or at least some kind of short-term past when we finally get released from our houses and we run like little puppies out the front door to the mailbox?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we were all headed in this direction anyway. We've gotten somewhat of a kick start, maybe. It's been more kick than probably we were expecting. But
yeah,
I'm looking forward to people coming back into sales models and things getting back to normal. But the ability to do this virtually is going to be a skill and an ability that'll be great, in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I want to thank you guys. We're going to open it up to some open Q&A. I'm going to find Carrie and Matt in our list of attendees here. 1 second. Hang on, you guys. And I'm going to turn you guys on so you can participate and help us in Q&A. There you are. Carrie, promote to panelist. Allowed to talk, Carrie. Just try to hold her back, right? Unmute. Okay. There we go. All right, Carrie, you are, I think, unmuted where you can talk and help answer questions. And then Matt, I'm going to find you. There she is. Hey, everybody.
Awesome, you guys.
Really,
I mean, I'm in the trenches every day trying to think. And I don't know if you can see, but I'm like freaking note crazy from you people.
There we go. There's Matt. Let me unmute Matt. Okay, it is a party. All right, now you guys, I've been promising you for like 3 weeks now that we would do Q&A, and we are finally actually getting to it in a timely manner. So, all you have to do is if you look down at the bottom of your Zoom toolbar, there's a Q&A button, and you can like do a raise your hand and ask. I'll unmute you if you want to say it out verbally, or you can just type it in and we can answer. So while you guys are kind of getting some stuff in, what I see that's been going on while we've been talking is a lot of people just talking about who is still working on site, who's working by appointment only. So Carrie, Matt, you guys want to chime in? What are you seeing with your clients?
Sure. And then Matt, jump in, is that, you hate to give this word anymore, but I think we're all going to have to get t-shirts when we come out of all this saying it depends. And it depends specifically on your neighborhood, your communities, your company, your state, your governance. I would say that to answer the question straightforward, I have more people that are working on guided, thank you, Sheena, one-on-one appointments. And if they are in their models, they are equipped with proper signage that if the door is locked and if someone comes, they actually meet them like it's a one-on-one. They lock the door behind them with a nice appropriate sign that says we are in a one-on-one appointment. This is how you may schedule one. So ultimately at the end of the day, I have people only doing one-on-one appointments, just 2 different ways of getting them. Matt?
Okay, Matt, what are you hearing?
Yeah, it's definitely a mix, and we've seen this. We've been able to kind of see it when it first started 3-ish weeks ago in different markets, and it's really going in a wave, right? So it's almost every single market has started with, okay, we're going to go by appointment only. Or it's kind of business as usual. We're going to start talking about virtual tours. Then it's gone to by appointment only. And then as the states become more strict, they are going to virtual only. And so, I mean, there are 5 states right now where you're not even allowed to go
Correct.
in person. It is solely virtual. So we've kind of seen it come in a wave, and we're seeing that website data come along in that same wave, right? So
Right.
it's all falling in a similar pattern. It's just coming in market by market.
Brian, and hang on one second. Brian and Jeremy, from a leadership perspective, what do you see as, why do you think there's a reluctance to go to a virtual setup? You know, what's the hang up there? And is there a perspective you can help give to kind of help people move over that line? Either one of you guys.
I'll say, as quickly as this virus hit the United States, which was remarkable. I mean, I've never seen anything in my life that has changed the market so dramatically in a 10-day period. I mean, we're talking about like cataclysmic change. It would be naive of us to think that the buyer behavior model of how you buy a home is going to change equally fast. It's impossible to think that the customers are going to be like, okay, cool, we'll just buy it online now. And I do think that the push to digital, and not just with what we're doing, but I mean, I FaceTimed my dad, who's 81 years old, for the first time in his life on Sunday night. And, you know, people who have never been on online banking or have never done a grocery cart pickup or anything like this are now getting kind of forced into, you know, they're getting drop kicked into the digital, revolution. So over time, 30 days from now, 60 days from now, people are going to become more and more comfortable with these types of tools and the resources and everything else to do that. We have to be at the front. We have to be out in front to say all these different things are available for you in order to do that. But it would be naive of us to think that the entire world is just going to flip a switch and start buying homes online. If we did that, we'd just put it on our website and put add to cart and check out now. But that's that's,
one day.
And that really goes to what Jeremy was saying. I'm pointing like, I don't know which box he's actually in, but he's been doing this with military buyers for years, you guys. So it's new, but it's not new to like everybody. It depends on like your lifestyle and your background. So
yeah, where have y'all been? I mean, we've been here for a while.
If you're selling houses to military personnel, I did that as a builder. We were doing remote closings and video FaceTime stuff 6 years ago because there was no other option.
Right.
And I think, Meredith, you asked the question, like, as a salespeople, what would cause us from why would a sales team or company be reluctant to get on board with this? And as a recovering salesperson, I would say that it's because we're control freaks. And so when we don't have the ability to control that path, to control that sale through the process, we don't like that. And so we're very reluctant to give a customer like, oh no, I'm not letting a customer go through my model without me giving a model presentation. Like, that's not happening. And honestly, it's very similar to a transition that a builder sees when they go from no OSC program to the OSC program, right? The salesperson's used to getting that lead directly, used to taking that sales call directly. And now all of a sudden, somebody else is going to come in and help them take it. They've got that initial like, wait. So that's why I think that sales teams and builders are a little reluctant to get into this. And like Brian said, we're being drop kicked into this reality. And the reality is the reality. The toothpaste is out of the tube. And buyers aren't going to go back to saying, okay, we're done with this now. Like, you know, whatever you invest in right now is going to be continually used for a long time.
I have a question for Sheena. Sheena, so how, if Brian and Max say, okay, sales team, you got 24 hours to go get as much content as you want. Here's what we want. We want photos, video tours with your phone. Like, is there something you guys have been doing with the team that they were able to go do all that and they could do it, wanted to do it? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because like Matt's saying, if you're fearful of kind of letting go and embracing some of this, like, how did you guys pull off your team doing that?
Yeah, so I mean, it started with us having to incorporate video emails that we send out. Again, we want everything to be hyper personal with all of our clients or prospective clients. And so we started doing bomb videos a long time ago. I'll tell you, the reluctancy there was where it started. It's getting on camera. Do I look good? Is the lighting right? What's my background? How do I sound? Am I going to say something stupid? Am I going to mess up? Again, at the end of the day, none of that matters. It's actually funnier if you mess up. People will trust you more because they're like, oh gosh, like they're a human like I am. That's great. We're good. But because of that, Mackenzie and Brian had set that up as part of their jobs. So they got real comfortable with it. But again, we've also had a culture that they've created for us that we don't have to be perfect, but we need to work hard and we need to buy in to what the process is going to be, even if it's uncomfortable, and that we cannot grow if we stay in our comfort zone. So I would say that just in general, as our biggest part of our culture, is that we don't ever want to be comfortable, because that's when that's the point that you just start dying then, because it's like you're not growing anymore. So then with that being said, as soon as all of this hit, literally the day that we got our first case, Mackenzie was like, all right, I'll go get everybody's selfie sticks so we have ways for them to go out and take all of their videos. And he essentially hand delivered them to the majority of our staff. And so, I mean, it really was leadership top down. And then everybody else, it was just a lot of fun. It was get as creative as you can and create something fun, create something that you have a chance to win a little incentive and, go spend a little money or something like that. But at the end of the day, it was just everybody was having fun sharing it. And then we just put it all in one drive so everybody could see it and, be able to share it together. So that was a lot of fun. And I think
Nice.
adding some fun onto it made it a little bit more exciting.
Carrie, I'll let you round out this, and then I'm going to go to the next topic. So
really
go
quickly, to all of the panelists, and what I would like, because you guys did such a great job today. And one of the things that I want everybody to understand from what you said and from all of my note pages is to understand that when you talk personal, when you talk leadership, when you talk let them experiment, it's the nature of the invite that's going to attract the person to do the action that you want. So if you want them to take a virtual tour, a guided tour, a one-on-one appointment, work with your new home navigators, whatever it is, the nature of the invite. Like, have you ever gotten like that wedding invitation that has like 5 freaking envelopes and you're like, this is going to be a wedding. We're not going to miss this, right? You guys are all talking about that same thing. So it is the nature of the invite. It's not, are you doing one-on-one? Are you doing this? It is, how are you inviting them?
Oh, that's an interesting thought. I love that. I love that.
Carrie, that's a great point. Just this week, we were having this discussion because we're going to continue to refine this process. But what we talked about on Monday was basically changing the default, right? And the default in the past, it's been, hey, yes, we have homes and the price you're looking for in the neighborhood with the bedrooms, et cetera. Do you want to come out and see our homes? And, we don't want to do that anymore. Now we're going to say, okay, we have this house in this neighborhood with this bedroom at this price point. Do you use Apple or Android? And we're basically change the default to where you're saying like, we're going to set this up for you. And at the end of the day, I mean, if you really don't like our house, all you have to do is hang up. Like, it's not this is the lowest, this is the lowest commitment we've ever asked for.
Oh my God, you're Matt, talk about losing control of the sale, right? That's Brian, do not tell the rest of the salespeople that. The 200 people on this thing right now, please don't tell them that. It's going to freak them out. Okay, I'm going to switch topics on you guys. We have like 3 different questions in the Q&A about engaging active adult right now. It says, let me read a couple of these for you. And then after that, so that you can be thinking, we've got a bunch of questions about live chat. And I also promised a couple of folks we talk about live chat today too. So if you have any thoughts on that. All right, so let me find the ones on active adult. hold on. Where did they go? Okay, what's a unique way to communicate with some of the less tech-savvy active adult prospects? That was one of them. Another one I saw, best way to reach active adult buyer right now. So that gives you a couple of ones. Anybody have thoughts on that you want to jump in on?
Get them in Florida before they get home.
Right? Right?
I mean, from a marketing perspective, on the 55 and over communities, social media is where it's at. I mean, that demographic is hugely active on that. And even when we say like we think that they struggle with the technology side. I mean, like Brian said, his 81-year-old dad did it the first time. But the reality is most of that demographic is also going to have an iPhone, right? So if you're switching the default, like Brian said, and you know that your question is going to be, do you have an Apple or iPhone, or an iPhone or Android? And they say iPhone, all you have to do is hit FaceTime. Like, they don't have to actually do anything. Right. And I think that that's what we have to make sure that we're getting that across to that buyer, because there might be some technology intimidation there. But if hey, you're on an iPhone, great, this is what I'm going to do. I'm literally going to call you. All you have to do is hit the answer button, and then we're going to be connected via video. Just really break it down simply for them. But social media is going to be, Facebook specifically is where they're going to be.
Yeah.
Huge.
100%.
Meredith, did you see what Elena just asked regarding 55 plus?
No, let me look.
The airports are closed. The border of Florida is patrolled.
Oh, wow, yeah.
It's like crazy. So to Sheena's point and Brian's and Jeremy, how do you reach them when Border Patrol won't let them get home to come to you? And then to Matt's point, because now that's exactly right. Here you go, people. They golf with these, they work out with these, they walk their dogs with these. I'm quarantined with them right now. I'm like, it's like crazy. So yes, I agree. The border is closed. You have to get to them.
Yeah. Several years ago, we did long-term marketing for an active adult on Cape Cod. FYI, it is not in Cape Cod. It is on Cape Cod. On Cape Cod. And we helped the length of the whole project sell the community out. This was several years ago, and we did heavy digital for active adult. Worked awesome. And that was before, and I've been saying all along, the bigger the devices get, the higher the age band is that adopts them. I'm serious. The struggle is real. I can't see the screen without my progressive lenses. I mean, I'm wearing glasses because I'm almost 50 years old and I can't read the screen. I mean, so it's a real thing. And once the plus size phones started coming out, and you basically had a phablet, that's a phone tablet, and you could read it, it enabled all age groups to be able to really start using their devices. So,
I love it.
Right?
It's my font size now on my phone.
Right? Yeah, like I can read that, Brian. But like I think all of us, our age, like Jeremy, like your parents, I know they're on their devices constantly.
Absolutely.
Right?
My father keeps up with all the important things in his life: fishing reports, the weather, when he can go fishing.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
Yeah. So digital will absolutely work. Using phones and devices will work. It's the invitation is the key. Carrie nailed it. If it seems like I was previewing somebody's new landing page the other day that, or maybe it was a blog post that we're writing for them, I forget. And it was talking about, we invite you to have a virtual visit, blah, blah. And it's like, it just was too much detail and it sounded hard. And I wrote back to the writer and I go, this sounds hard. I don't want to do this. I want to push the easy button. So whatever a virtual visit means to you, that's what it is. And if that means a phone call, fine. If that means FaceTime, fine. Like, but make it sound easy, make it sound simple. because that's the only thing I think that group assumes they don't know as much as they know. They're actually quite proficient at it, but might get a little scared off if it sounds hard or complicated. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Especially if they have grandkids. I mean, if they want to communicate with their kids or their grandkids, they force themselves into interacting with this because that's how they're going to interact with their, with their other family members.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to live chat because we had several requests for us to talk about that. So first of all, Brian, Sheena, do you guys use live chat on your site?
We don't use live chat. We've talked about it a lot. For us, it just doesn't make sense. But we do have an online sales counselor.
Sure.
We like to call her our new home matchmaker.
I love that.
I mean, she's about as real time as it gets. And then it really feels like you're getting somebody right on the spot. You get a phone call from her right away. You get her reaching out to you via email right away. So again, there too, you kind of get your choice of what makes the most sense. Sometimes we'll send text messages as well, and then we'll find out what platform makes the most sense for people to want to communicate and feel comfortable.
Yeah, sure. Jeremy, I don't remember you guys doing any kind of live chat yet?
We are not doing any live chat. We really didn't have success with it in the past, but we do have the online sales counselor, and she's on this. I've seen her making comments. So
oh yeah,
just gave her a great new title. We'll have to change her business cards at this point. But but that really is, it's worked fantastic for us. Yeah, thank you, Sheena.
Sorry about that expense.
Yeah, I know. I know. Okay, so I know, Matt, you guys, group 2, you've got a bunch of people that use it. We've got a bunch of clients that use it. Carrie, some of your clients use it. So some of the main questions that I get asked about live chat. Number 1, do we have to, how much is live do we have to be? And I sent an email within 2 days of all this starting, I don't know, like Matt said, about 3 weeks ago, that said, expand your live chat hours right now. All my clients, I was like, I know y'all think, because at that point, Brian, it was still kind of like, are you overreacting and being hysterical? It really was. And I was like, I don't think I am. I think this is something. And here's a list of things I think you should start today. And one of them was, typically live chat hours, if you do 10 a.m. to about 9 p.m., whatever time zone that is, 8 p.m., you're pretty good. It's pretty fine. But honestly, with everybody at home, bored, up all night, I mean, if you can expand that, if you have to get a couple people to help support so you're not wearing out one person, do it. But I would have live chat on. Our live chat providers will tell you that the more your live chat is on, the more chats you will get. Number 2,
Meredith, to your point,
sure.
I think the live chat, and you alluded to it really well, is you've got some resources right now that are not being utilized to their max, and there's nothing more dangerous than a bored salesperson. I'm just going to tell you, their mind wander crazy. So figuring out how you stop the crazy train in the head will then help you stop the hen house where they call each other and say, I'm crazy, or you crazy, and then all of a sudden you get that. Is that one of those persons that might be on your current team right now is could be your really awesome backup live chat person to do those kinds of things. So I think this is a time to look at your internal resources and use them.
Yeah. So I would be on and available as many hours. And, to Brian and Sheena's point, Jeremy's point, it may not be actual live chat, but it just might be, your OSC that is available. And I would just expand those hours and make it, because people are just up, we're bored. We're watching Tiger King till 2 a.m. So if I want to ask you a question, normally a builder's website, the traffic really drops off around, kids' bedtime hour-ish. We do watch TV at night, and whether it's live or recorded, and we browse on our devices while we do that. It's called media multitasking. We do both. And so those hours, we've traditionally always done live chat, but hey, I would expand it if you can. Number 2, are you going to be overrun with chats? No, sadly, no. You're going to wish you were overrun with chats. if you get a couple chats a day, you've done really well. Seriously, for most of you, it's not going to be a crazy number, but chats convert 50% more likely to convert into a next conversation or an appointment. So they're typically pretty good quality, and they're strong conversations. So, but it's not going to be so much that it can't be managed. If you don't have an OSC, I get this a lot, Matt, if you want to chime in, if you have any thoughts on it too, so I'm not doing all the talking here. If you don't have an OSC, how does a builder operationally implement chat? Because we do have folks that aren't quite big enough, or they just haven't implemented an OSC yet, but they'd really, during this time of virtual visits, like to get live chat going. Any thoughts on how to do that?
Yeah, I mean, my personal opinion is, I don't think any builder's too small to have an OSC in today's age.
Okay.
We should have one. It should be part of your sales strategy. But it does become a lot more challenging to manage chat consistently when you don't have a dedicated person. And that is a lot of time of where chat goes wrong. Because if you've ever spent time in a model home selling homes, I mean, not today, obviously, but when you flip the open sign, your time is no longer your own, because you've got buyers coming in that are in construction. You got all kinds of things happening. And if someone initiates a chat conversation with you as a company and you take 10 seconds to respond, they're out. That is going to be the longest 10-second response, 10 seconds of their life. And it's going to degrade their experience with you as a builder, with your company. So I'm a believer that have someone that's dedicated to do it. And it's really, really challenging to have the sale. You could say this, each salesperson is going to be on a rolling shift of when they're on chat, but to think about, someone walks in the door, their phone rings, that they instantly like disengage to say that they're online before they do that. Like, that's really hard to do. That's a real challenge. So you want to balance, it's a real balancing act to because chat is all about speed. And if you can't give speed, then it's a really bad experience as a whole. So, you can do that, those rolling hours, but it's really difficult unless you have, in my opinion, unless you have someone dedicated for it. I don't know what anybody else's opinion is.
Yeah, I would agree, Matt. That's probably why ours failed in the past. It's been some years ago, but we really didn't have a dedicated person following it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so you guys understand, most of the chat providers have an Android and iOS app. So you don't literally have to be sitting at a computer in order to respond to a chat. You just need to have the app and the push notifications on your phone turned on. So now, before that mostly applied because we were in offices or cubicles. Now we're just all at home anyway. But I tell folks, look, turn your chat on, turn your app on. You're in Target, you're just doing whatever, but somebody wants to have a real-time conversation. Let's have one. And again, in the past, kind of like a 10 to 8 was pretty typical, but now, I mean, we're up early. I've never seen so many dogs walked in my life this morning as like how many people are out walking their dogs because they're desperate. Like, our dogs of America are exhausted. They're just exhausted. They have never been walked this much. They're like, please, we are so tired. We cannot take another walk, please. But my point is, like, we're up at like 6 a.m. Like, I got to get out of this house. Let's walk the dog again. And they could be like chatting with you when normally that wasn't our default, Brian, buying pattern. So rethink that hours. Let's see. Okay, like Corinne is asking.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, what's the main difference between an OSC and chat? Okay, so the difference is when you have an online sales counselor, that person is paid, compensated, and their whole entire job is to receive inbound leads, phone, live chat, email, text message, carrier pigeon, smoke signals, all of the above. They get all inbound leads. They respond and converse and nurture until the person is ready for a guided virtual visit, right, Tina, with an on-site agent, and they hand it off at that time. An OSC uses many communication tools to nurture. Live chat is just one of them. If you don't have an OSC, then you could ask somebody in your office, you could rotate salespeople to run a live chat for you, but then you're going to need a process of once they start talking to that person, just like everybody allowed to cross sell. So it's just like floor time, and I'm on chat, so I get it, or it needs to go to the right community, or like what happens. So an OSC is more about lead follow-up and nurturing, whereas chat is just a communication device, just like the phone is.
You
Does that
did
make
that
sense?
really well. That was perfect sense. You did that well. Da da da. And typically, it's the same person. The person chatting is the OSC, so the boundaries and parameters are there. And to Meredith's point, if you don't have the OSC, but you're thinking, well, should we do the chat? Then just make new parameters on who it is, how they're compensated, are they? But you know what? Build a company of trust. Put your cultures out there. That's what I'm telling everybody. Because if you are relying on staying open as a company, and if you trust the people that you've hired, then it shouldn't be about whose lead is it anymore.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
done so.
Yeah. Cheryl with Pratt in Tennessee, I know they've been doing live chat for years. Oh, I just lost her comment. Here we go. She said, when they've used chat, most folks contacted us because they couldn't get a hold of their agent, or they didn't want to bother their agent. That's a little scary, right?
Yeah.
Like, whoa. So it's a way for people to get a hold of you, and just be able to communicate. And not everybody wants to live chat. It's just, the point is, whatever communication channel they're comfortable with, that they want to use, that's what we want to do. I've been in the middle of the great Macintosh computer meltdown of 2020 for days and days and days. It has gone on, and Apple is amazing. I mean, I gotta hand it to them. I could live chat them. I could call them. Normally, I could take the whole machine to the store and go, here, do something. And I definitely kind of missed having that available, but they made me feel they were so available to me in any form I wanted to communicate, to support me, to fix this stupid computer. So, you know, it's just a communication tool. Okay. Let's see, last one, and then we'll wrap up for today. Anybody have any ideas, creative ideas? Sheena, this might be a good one for you. Trying to open a brand new community, have shelter in place order. How do we get people interested virtually? Any ideas from the marketing side?
Yes. So again, shelter in place, typically you're not supposed to be out and around people. You're not supposed to be open for business. In most situations, the sales rep is still allowed to be out and about in their community to go get some great footage, some great real live time. You know, this is the progress that we're seeing out here. That would be in the instance that shelter in place is there. However, construction is still considered essential and there's still progress being done. People love to watch progress being done. Interactive maps, if you don't have interactive maps, interactive floor plans, that's something that can be worked on right now. Typically, if you have a community already up and going or in the works, you're going to have plat maps. Reach out to, you know, Rendering House, or there's lots of other parties who do that. Start getting it where they can start playing around with it. And you can even jump on Zoom. You can jump on Google Hangouts, and you can say, hey, let me walk you through this. This still may be a little, you know, intimidating to try to piece together your floor plan, but let's go ahead and walk through it and talk about what you need and what's interesting to you. And then if you have other communities that you're selling similar floor plans in, again, use, if you have 3D virtual tours already done, like Matterport, walk them through that, guide them through that real time. But again, just get them assets to look at on their own, and then try to encourage them, or as Carrie say, invite them to come out and talk to you virtually over the phone, or, you know, on a quick FaceTime to really break it down. But you got to get things out there in front of them for them to see.
Yeah. Jeremy, Brittany wrote in, did you see where she wrote in, share your screen with Zoom for your
Yeah,
clients
yeah,
and walk them
absolutely.
through. Yeah.
And the Matterport, Sheena just mentioned that. We just started doing those recently, and I am blown away at how inexpensive it is and how valuable a tool it can be.
Oh my gosh. Jeremy, one of the things we do now on our websites that we're managing is I have what's called event tracking built in to every piece of interactive content. And so I can see what people actually engage with, and those
100.
right? Those good old fashioned Matterport tours that you're talking about that are not expensive. Oh, people click on them all day long, all day long. And it's not, you know, it's like not even that great a technology anymore, right? But they totally engage with those. I can prove it. So that's awesome. To the person that asked this question, the way the mindset, the way that I think for you to think like and maybe study so you can learn from others is our high-rise condo folks. Especially through like Canada, the luxury high-rise condo sales, their websites, their sales process, everything they do, because they sell with nothing and they can't get financing to start the construction on that building until enough is built.
40-50% sometimes.
Wow. Right. Yep. So they have been selling like this, having to have like, a grand opening with nothing for years. Right. And they're pretty good at it. So maybe find a couple of those or just kind of approach it that way. And we'll go from there. Okay. So a couple quick reminders and we'll all get out of here and get on to our not so virtual cocktail. So definitely plan to be here next week. Like I said, I'm going to have photographers and videographers, some that specialize in housing, particularly new construction, some that specialize kind of in making you look good when you take the selfies and all this content you're generating, the portrait photographer type people. I'm gonna have a whole group of people that are going to be here to help you DIY your content and just make it look a little bit better. Does it have to be perfect, Sheena? No, absolutely. It doesn't have to be, but like I'm getting pictures with the plastic on the windows is half ripped off, the window is half up, the sign in the yard is leaning, there is a visible dumpster. Like, please say no. Please stop. Just stop. And I've seen some Facebook lives that were, no. So I'm glad you're trying. We all got to get in there. I want you to get in there, but we also want to give you the tools to do it. There is authentic and there is competent professional, and we want to like hit right in the middle, right? If I perceive you to be competent and good at what you're doing, when you make a mistake, I don't care. That's authentic. But when I perceive that you don't have any clue what you're doing, what you're talking about, that you can't answer my questions, you don't know what you're doing, and it's stupid. Now it's just stupid. You know what I mean? It's just not good. So that's next week. And like I said, invite your teams so they can participate. That's fine. Final thoughts from you guys.
Go on.
You go.
All right. I just think if you guys took a note out of today and realized like authenticity, if you wrote down some individual words, I think we're all in the word of the power of our verbiage. Learn something new by a really great word and then learn what to do with that really great word. And today, I think I might do an email because you guys all talked and you don't know what you said. And I've got like some of your great words. I might put them together and send them to Meredith and she can put it on a link.
Yeah, no problem. Awesome. Yeah, Brian, Jeremy, final thoughts from you guys?
All I'll say is just this was awesome and thank you. And this is, I think, the greatest content available until next week because it's all going to change again.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's an excellent point.
Just be ready to change all over again because I just don't think we're done. We're not done changing.
No.
Yeah, I agree with Brian. We're on somewhat of a roller coaster, and we can either enjoy it and learn, or just be scared to death all the time. And I think enjoying it and learning may be a lot better.
Yeah. Sheena, Matt?
I would just definitely say that get creative and just keep people really at the heart of your message. And, you know, at the end of the day, that's really what's going to pull through, because people are who work for you and people who are going to buy for you. So.
Nice.
Yep.
Matt, what about for you?
Make decisions all about the data that you've got in front of you, right? That's the decisions that we need to be making and adjusting to all the time. No preconceived notions, no emotional decisions, all based around what we know and what we have in front of us, and the content that we have. Like the content is such a huge investment, and if you're not there now, you're going to have to get caught up, and you're going to have to get caught up quickly. And it's going to be one of those things that you're not going to have it in your budget. You're just going to have to stroke a check and get caught up. And that's where we're at. It's content is king. If you don't have the content, it doesn't matter how authentic you are, because you've got nothing to talk about or show.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll close this on this, to your point, Matt. My first job in home building was working for the Home Builders Association in Orlando. And then after that, I went to this company called homebuilder.com, which is now, you know, part of New Home Source, BDX, and so forth. But at that time, it was called homebuilder.com. It was the sister company to realtor.com. And my boss had the best quote ever, to your point. His quote was, a website with no web marketing is like a billboard in the Everglades. It doesn't exist. And so to your point, is a website with no content marketing, getting people there, is a billboard in the Everglades. So get your content cranking out, start pushing it out, be real and authentic, make it about your people. And we can do this until it changes. And then I'll talk to you next Tuesday. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys.
All right.
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks so much.
Bye. Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Bye.